Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds and I'm a property entrepreneur, and not only do I make a lot of money in property, but I also put out YouTube videos and have a training company and teach people in property as well. So if you watch Winners Wednesday, you'll see a lot of my success students start off making their money in a strategy called rent to rent. And the thing is with rent to rent is you can make quite a lot of money doing it, but like any business, and be under no illusion, rent to rent is a property business. And a business is when you have a product and you have a customer. And with rent to rents, your product is your house and your service to the landlords. That's your product and service. And then your customer is your tenants. Effectively, rent to rent is when you rent a property off a landlord, and usually it will be a reasonably low rent. It will be off a particular type of landlord and a particular type of property. This doesn't work with every house and with every landlord. So let me pre-qualify firstly the landlord. The landlord, it has to be a landlord who is happy to receive a low guaranteed rent. So he can't be a landlord that wants as much as he can possibly get every single month and he's looking to no, it needs to be someone who's more hands-off, that just wants a quiet life, no hassle, and he wants a guaranteed rent. That needs to be the qualification of the landlord. I might just text these live-in or live-out landlords and say, would you be open to a guaranteed rent or potentially selling your house? I'll send that to all the landlords, and all the agents, I'll phone them and get a feel for what the area's like and what the rents are like and stuff like that. And then together, I should be getting my market research while also putting out my marketing messages. So here's the message I'm gonna write. I'm gonna say, so hey, I've just seen your property on Spare Room. Would you be interested in receiving a fixed guaranteed rent or maybe selling your property altogether? If so, please text back and let's jump on a quick call. Samuel, boom. So that is my message. Hi Peter, my name's Samuel. I think we just missed each other a couple of times, but great to speak. I was just calling about your apartment that you've got on. I saw it on Gumtree. Yeah. So it looks good. I think you said that I was looking at the pictures. I think does it come furnished?
It does.
Okay, fantastic. And it's on for £950 per calendar month. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Fantastic. So, I'd love to have a look round your apartment. It looks really nice, and I love the fact that it's furnished and the location is absolutely fantastic. Are you the landlord? Do you own the apartment?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's not a bad investment for you. Have you got more than one in the block, or is it just that one you've got?
No, just that one. Yeah.
Okay, nice, fantastic. So basically, yeah. So I've got a company. So it would be a corporate let. I don't know if that's something that you've done before with this particular property, but I could look round. I could do Tuesday or Thursday next week if either of those are any good.
Tuesday would work well.
Tuesday. Okay, what time?
Let me see, probably around sometime about 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock works. That's fine. Okay, cool. I know where it is because I've got the address, but perhaps if you could just text over the exact address, and then just confirmation, and I'll see you at 3 o'clock on Tuesday.
Brilliant. Happy day, that'll be good. And is it you be moving in yourself, or are you paying it for a company?
No, I wouldn't be living there myself. That's why I say I've got a company, but yeah, I mean we can talk through that when I see you as well, how it would work. But we've got quite a few apartments that our company rent. So as far as we're concerned, $950 is fine. So we could just pay that and we could fix fix the term. So yeah, happy days. Isn't this illegal? And the answer to that is no, it is not illegal. Rent to rent is not a new thing. It's been around for years. It's something that's very, very commonly accepted in commercial property, in businesses. All this is it's a business agreement on a residential property. So as long as you use the right agreement, if you use an AST contract and then just sublet it, then that is illegal. But if you use a correct contract, and that is a management agreement, a corporate let, and tell the landlord what you're doing, it is perfectly legal. Now, if there is a mortgage on the property and you're turning a buy-to-let into a HMO, will you need permission from the lender? Now, it might be that the lender has restrictions on turning it into a multi-let. If there are restrictions from the lender, then you'll need to ask the lender's permission. This is just general standard practice in property investing. If you're going to rent something out, you need permission to do that. And if you're going to rent it out in a peculiar way, such as serviced accommodation or buy the room on a multi-let or HMO, of course, you're going to need to make sure that the lending on the property is fit for purpose with what you actually do with the property. The qualification of the house needs to be that the house can achieve a lot more rent than it is currently doing. So what kind of house would that be? Well, there can be different types of examples. One might be, it could be that the house is a big house and it's being rented out, and it could be rented out into different separate units. So that could be a HMO, for example. This is the most popular type of rent to rent. So you've got a 5-bed house, the landlord is renting the whole thing out for £600 a month, and it's near a city centre, and you think, he's renting it for $600 per month for the whole house. But if I came in and just furnished the property, made it a bit prettier, maybe paid for all the utility bills, which might cost me a few £100 a month, I could then re-rent out the rooms for £400 a month, which would be considerably more profitable. So it needs to be a house where you can increase the rent. Another example would be maybe if it's just a little studio apartment in a city centre and it's renting out for £500 a month, this little studio apartment, you could think, that little studio apartment with a little bit of creativity, if I was to put a key safe outside the apartment and was to furnish it and include the bells, I could rent that out as a hotel, like a hotel without staff. I could list this property on Airbnb and Booking.com, and instead of getting maybe £500 a month, I could get £500 every few days in rent from guests. So you can massively raise the rent on that. You'll give the landlord what he wants, you'll rent the property out for more, and then you'll keep the difference. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing a rent to rent unless the difference is at least £500 a month. So, because it's not worth the hassle. If you're messing around, secured the deal with the landlord, then you're gonna make £200 a month, I don't think it's worth the hassle. So I'll be saying at least £500. You do not need a HMO license unless there are 5 or more tenants in the property. Now, this does vary slightly from council to council, but the standard rule of thumb is that you'll only need a HMO license if the property has 5 or more people. Now, you still will need fire doors and smoke alarms to keep it safe, but you will not need a license, nor will you need any kind of rent-to-rent license in order to carry out a rent-to-rent deal. Here's how you have to analyze a rent-to-rent deal. So the first thing is you need to be able to work out the return on investment. The return on investment of a rent-to-rent deal. Now, I would never do a rent-to-rent deal unless I was making a 100% return on investment on that deal. Now, when I'm investing in property, because I'm not just taking control of the property, I also own it, and I'm benefiting from the rent, the cash flow, and the capital appreciation. If I'm getting 20%, I'm really happy. If I'm taking control of something, I want 100% return on investment. What does that mean? That means how much money are you putting down to get the rent-to-rent deal? How much are you putting down in terms of rent up front, deposit to the landlord, furnishings, contracts, any fees associated with getting that set up? Let's say that it's a £5,000 startup fee for the rent-to-rent, and you say, but then you're making £100 a month. That's no good, because £100 a month is £1,200 a year. So your profit is £1,200, but you put down £5,000. Which means that it's going to take you years, like 4 years or more, to get your money back. No good. You need to make your money back in full in the first year, and that's like worst case. So if you're going to put down £5,000 to get your rent to rent and furnishings and everything, you need to make at least £5,000 profit in your first year to make the deal even worth looking at. Next, what's your monthly profit? How do you work out the return on investment? So you need to look at, if you're paying the landlord £1,000 a month and you're charging £2,000 a month to your tenants, you might say, oh, I've got £1,000 a month profit. No, you've got £1,000 a month, but you've still got expenses. So what are the expenses with rent to rents? There's actually quite a lot of expenses. You've got to pay the landlord, that's an expense. You've also got to pay, if it's a HMO or if it's serviced accommodation, which usually it probably will be because you've got to force the rent up, you've got to pay for the bills, council tax, gas and electric. You've got to pay for the Wi-Fi. So you've got all of the bills. You need to know how much those are going to be. Now, depending on the house, if it's just an apartment, an Airbnb apartment, it might only be £250 a month maybe. If it's a 5-bed HMO, it might be £500 a month. But you need to at least have a ballpark figure and always err on the conservative side when doing your figures. People with rent to rents, what they do is they manage it themselves, which does make it much more profitable, but then it's not completely passive. But you've just got to factor how you want to do it. Do you want to manage it, or do you want to set up systems where you don't manage it at all? So once you've worked out all the expenses and then looked at what the total rent's going to be, knock the expenses off of the rent, and you see the profit that's left. Take the monthly profit, times it by 12, and that will give you a figure which will be your annual profit. Then look at your expenses that you're going to put down to get the rent to rent. And if you're not going to make your money back within the first year, don't do the deal. You don't need any qualifications to do a rent-to-rent. You don't need a lot of money. Again, I've got students that have come into this country with nothing and they're doing rent-to-rents within literally a few months. You do need to make sure you do it properly. So you're going to need a proper agreement. The type of agreement you're going to need is you're going to need a corporate let management agreement. So you can't do this with just normal ASTs. Some people say, you know, oh, is this illegal? It's illegal when you do it wrong on the wrong contracts. Then it would be classed as subletting. When you do rent-to-rent legally, it's completely above board. It's something that even we've got solicitors who are in our academy and they're doing this strategy. We've got estate agents doing this strategy. So hopefully that's kind of cleared up what rent to rent is. If you've got any questions about rent to rent, whack them below in the comments and maybe I'll do a more detailed video answering your questions. And please don't forget to subscribe, share and like this video. Really appreciate the love. Your success is my oxygen. So I'm going to keep doing these videos until you keep becoming successful. Let me know when that happens. God bless.